What is going on, folks? So, as the title suggests, there was a bit of a thing that happened last night. You know, Daredevil season 3 is out. Phenomenal series. If you haven't checked our non-spoiler review, I'm pretty sure by now a lot of folks have probably already watched it already and stuff. But so last night, I believe, right around the time, a lot of us, World Series games, playoff games is happening, NBA games are happening and stuff. So we got a little bit of news that dropped, and Netflix canceled Luke Cage. There's not going to be a season 3, and I'm of two minds about this. In the fact that one of two things are going to happen now. A while back, Disney announced a streaming service, and we kind of knew when it comes with Disney doing a streaming service, that means that all the Marvel MCU movies, the Star Wars stuff, and everything is going to go on there. Now, the logical thinking at the time, well, I can say logical, but the thinking at the time was that essentially this means that it's going to be so family friendly and stuff. And I mean, to an extent, yeah, but like people forget that Disney owns other things that's family friendly and stuff. Well, how do you market this? It has to be family friendly. I'm like, yeah, but like Disney is trying to be its own entity and streaming service that people can go to and watch certain things. So at any rate, there was always the question of what was going to happen to the Marvel Netflix stuff. And the logical thing was, since Disney owns Hulu, has part of stake in Hulu, and they got Marvel stuff on there, because I think the Runaways is on there, and Marvel has a deal with Netflix, that those things were going to continue as is, and you get your little small connections and stuff to the MCU, and Stat Quo was going to go in there. And it was like, all right, cool, that's just what it is. And then this happened. Now, prior to this, though, and this is kind of one of those things where I see where Disney was pivoting in at, Runaways was being shown on Freeform. Now, I don't know if that takes away their deal from Hulu, because I think season 2 of Runaways should be dropping within a month or so. So I think they're going to still continue that with Hulu, as far as I know. But Runaways is shown on Freeform, which got me thinking that maybe this is their way of pivoting towards trying to get everything streamlined to an extent. Because, I mean, let's be real about this. Not too many people are actually going to want to get all these streaming services, and they gotta go through a whole bunch of hoops. I mean, I know right now I got the DC Universe app, and I'm only watching it for Titans and stuff. But at any rate, so Luke Cage got canceled and stuff, and the logical thing is, and I was of two minds about this. It is very disappointing because you left Luke Cage on a bit of a cliffhanger, so to speak. Luke Cage, you didn't see season 2. It ended on the note that he ended up becoming the kingpin of Harlem. Like he wanted Harlem's he wanted everybody to be safe in Harlem, and the stake was essentially, if without Mariah there to kind of keep things in check, crime was still going to be in chaos and in flux, and no matter what Luke Cage did in terms of trying to deter it, it would happen. And essentially he made a deal with a lot of the drug bosses and stuff that, hey, all your businesses is going to flow through Harlem's Paradise and stuff, but you can't be sitting up there doing this shit while, putting everybody in Harlem in danger. So he basically essentially became the kingpin of Harlem. And you left it on that note, and it was like, okay, I'm interested in what season 3 is going to tackle, and then they dropped this news on it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we got news, about 2-3 weeks ago, we got news that Iron Fist got canceled, which I kind of understood it a little bit, because season 1, as much as it was like this huge ratings boom, it was ratings boom for like the wrong reasons, because I think a lot of it had to do with the outrage of, oh my god, Danny should have been the Asian Iron Fist, and the fact that it was a very poorly written season, and just everything. And I think a lot of the interest in Iron Fist season 1 and why it got the social media presence that it did was because of its infamy. So the logical thinking was like season 1 left a bad taste in folks' mouth. And while the character of Danny improved a little bit in Defenders was an alright series. I thought Defenders was okay for what it was, but it could have been better. But when we saw Danny in Luke Cage season 2, a lot of folks were like, oh, this is the Danny that I liked. Why couldn't we get this Danny? So I think going into Iron Fist season 2, there was a lot of like, doubts and stuff. Now, I remember when Iron Fist Season 2 dropped, there was a lot of folks that were like, well, I'm not bending over backwards watching Iron Fist Season 2 because of what Season 1 was, which is understandable because you don't know what you're going to get out of it, you know? So, you look at what Season 2 represented. Iron Fist Season 2 was a huge improvement from Season 1 across the board. It did everything right that it needed to do, and I think it was a mistake for most people to not really check out the show and stuff. And I thought, and, you know, to be quite honest with you, I'm being really frank, I felt a lot of folks were still being petty about the shit because a lot of folks were like, well, I hate Finn Jones and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, if you get past your pettiness, you can see the fact that he really improved as Danny. And the writing improved with it. But whatever, I can't control people that want to be fucking petty. I mean, hell, we've seen it right now with Luke Cage and how people want to be revision history and say that, well, Luke Cage Season 2 was garbage. I'm like, Season 2 was actually really good. Like, what are we talking about here? You know? So when I saw that it was getting canceled, I felt two things were going to happen. One or two things is going to happen. With Disney doing the streaming service, I think that this is their way of pivoting this stuff under their streaming service. You didn't know Disney was getting out of their deal with Netflix with having their stuff on the streaming platform since they started the streaming service. And this makes sense. You want to have everything under one umbrella and stuff. You know, like I said, you can't do anything with Runaways and stuff right now because, like I said, you have your deal with Hulu and you have your properties on Hulu. It makes perfect sense. So you're Disney and you're announcing these TV shows that you want to do with Loki and Scarlet Witch. It makes sense why you want to bring in your Netflix shows under your branch and stuff. Not necessarily say that you're going to tie in those things to the Loki and the Scarlet Witch stuff. Far from it. I think it's a situation of you want all your properties under one balloon, and it makes it easier and stuff. And like I said, you know, also with Netflix signing Shonda Rhimes to that big money deal and stuff, I think this is a situation where and I think Disney was feeling some sort of way about that and stuff. You know what? And here's the thing, Justin, I want to say Heroes for Hire is incoming, and I was thinking that too, that this is maybe their way of pivoting Heroes for Hire, because that was my initial thought when Iron Fist got canceled, that they're pivoting these characters to kind of blend in with Luke Cage and be in that season, because like I said, it will make sense to have Colleen, Misty, and Danny be the ones to try to like get Luke back to being who he was before, like not this Kingpin of Harlem, but being Luke Cage, the guy that's the literal hero of Harlem. So it makes sense. Now, the thing about it is with that, Marvel isn't developing anything new on Netflix. So that kind of negates the idea that maybe they're going to do a Heroes for Hire series. That's why I feel that they're pivoting everything over to the Disney platform, because you can do your Heroes for Hire series and completely revamp everything on the Disney streaming service and stuff. And I know a lot of folks, when I was having this conversation, was like, well, this Disney streaming service is family friendly. Well, nothing about Disney never came out and sat there and said it's family friendly. We only assume Disney is family friendly because of what they put out there and stuff. You can still do your Luke Cage and Iron Fist and stuff and still do what you do and stuff. It's not like you're going to get a commercial like, I'm Luke Cage and you're watching Disney. I don't think you're going to get anything like that. Let's be real about this, you know. And you know what? I was saying Hulu too, because Hulu would give them a little leeway to kind of do those shows too. So if it moves to Hulu, I can see that, because they're doing a lot of good things with Runaways. And the funny thing is about Runaways is that that's the same type of stuff that you see in that you're seeing on Cloak and Dagger on Freeform. So it's a lot of balancing, and I get people's trepidations and what's happening, because I know Cheo Coker was probably the one person that popped up on Twitter and addressed the whole situation about, you know, the whole thing of it being canceled. He's saying it was a good ride and stuff, and from all intents and purposes, it looks like there was some sort of inner turmoil in between Netflix and Disney in terms of what they're going to do with these shows and stuff. Because again, I feel since, and it's also too, if you've been paying attention, Netflix has been kind of angling themselves in a direction of doing original content, you know. And since Netflix is angling towards original content. They've been putting a lot of like money into that and stuff. As you're seeing, you haven't really been seeing much in terms of them taking these TV properties that we all know and love and stuff. Now, it like I said, with this thing with Luke Cage, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the news, what happens with Daredevil, because Daredevil just finished the season 3, and you could say it ended if put it this way, the way Daredevil season 3 ended, and it's not spoiling anything, it ended on a note that if they said that they were not doing any more Daredevil shows, you can legit say that it ended on a note that you would expect it, kind of like a comic book where you end the arc of a Daredevil storyline and stuff. It ends on an arc that's like, all right, cool, I like that. And that's what Daredevil season 3 kind of ends on and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if after Daredevil season 3 ends that you get an announcement where they're saying, oh, hey, Daredevil is officially canceled. Don't be surprised, because Jessica Jones season 3 right now is currently filming in New York. Don't be surprised if Jessica Jones season 3, you get an announcement, oh, Jessica Jones is canceled. So it's like I see it, because to me, I think, again, you want to have all your properties under one umbrella and stuff. And like you said, Justin, the whole thing with it being on the Hulu, that's another option as well that they have to do as well. But I think the thing with Netflix, this is a good thing. I think this is ultimately a good thing. But I need folks to really... I don't see Disney recasting Luke Cage and Danny and Jessica and all that, because I feel they see the fact that folks are gravitating towards these actors and actresses that are playing these characters, and it would be kind of dumb and silly of them to say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and recast Luke Cage, let's recast Iron Fist, I think they're going to keep those actors and actresses in there and try at the very least try to get some sort of solid message. And let's be real about this, it's money on the table that they're losing. Because the thing of it is, if you have a lot of folks that have been wanting to see a Daughters of the Dragon series, and let's keep it real here, talking to Jeff Loeb and them at San Diego Comic-Con, you can tell that they have ideas of what they want to do. And it seems to me that Feige and them are angling towards doing TV, because you see the support that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been getting support, because despite the fact that you see on the outlets and stuff reporting that, oh, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the ratings is not good, it hasn't been good in a while and stuff, Disney still supports it. They still support it. And I think it's a situation of, you're seeing, and I've said this countless times, you're seeing a pivot towards them really doing crossovers and stuff. Like, you already know that they're going to probably do a Cloak and Dagger and Runaways crossover. It's just a situation of what's going to be feasible enough for us to do it, and is this the right time to do it? Because it looks like with Runaways season 2, they're really going full tilt into the comic book in terms of where the characters are at and stuff, with them literally fighting their parents and stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I think they're smart about it. I think Disney knows how to revise certain things and stuff, and even if they lose money on it, it's like, okay, we'll redo it. And that's why I was content with how they said, okay, we're getting Iron Fist season 2, and how much of a 180 that was and stuff, and that was great. So I feel, while we're not going to get those characters in the MCU yet, I think this is Marvel. This is kind of it's showing signs we're going to get them under the Disney platform and stuff. And it doesn't matter whether it's quote unquote not family friendly. You can still put that on Disney streaming service. It doesn't have to necessarily be like in your face, like promoting it and stuff. Punisher is probably the only one that I can probably say is a little shaky a little bit, just because of the content stuff. Even though look, Punisher season 1 is fucking awesome. It's great. So Punisher's the only one, but like I said, you can. It's all part of Marvel. It's under Disney, and I think you can still put those shows under Disney platform and it not be 100% front and center if you're really going on the angle of like, oh, family friendly and all that stuff. So it's just weird to me that folks are really trying to push the whole family friendly angle as like a reasoning for it. And even then, you got Hulu, like you got the Hulu option as well to really put it on there, and it still does what it has to do. But yeah, I also don't think that this was a situation of ratings too, because one thing Netflix doesn't do, they don't put their analytics out there on the numbers and stuff. And a lot of times, like when they sat there and said that Iron Fist, like for instance, they said that Luke Cage, they said that Luke Cage was like, you know, the highest rated show on Netflix and blah blah blah. I think a lot of that had to do with the social media presence, because when Luke Cage season one dropped, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing like Luke Cage and people talking about it and stuff. You know, and it's the same with Iron Fist season one, but I think with season one of Iron Fist, that was a case of just like people talking shit about it and everybody's piquing their curiosity and stuff. So that was that. But Netflix doesn't put their analytics out there, so it's hard for me to really say that this was a things of ratings because everybody loved Luke Cage season two and stuff. And like I said, we can debate the merits of certain things in season two, like, oh, I didn't like the Jamaican, I'm West Indian, I'm Jamaican, I didn't like the accents, whatever, I get it. My side note with that is that I grew up in an era of the 80s and 90s where Hollywood really didn't provide any nuance when it came to Jamaicans and how they portrayed them. So for me, when I see people complain, I get it, but I don't think it's as egregious or bad as people make it out to be. So whatever, I'm just putting it out there. But Iron Fist was way better. So I don't think this was a ratings thing. I think this was a situation where the honeymoon is over with Marvel, Netflix, and they're moving on. I think that's what it really comes down to and stuff. And like I said, if it's not that, maybe this is them pivoting towards Heroes for Hire. But again, since Marvel has stated that they're not doing any new content on Netflix, that basically debunks that whole idea and stuff. So, but yeah, I just wanted to go out there and put my thoughts out there, because putting it on Twitter, you don't really get that feeling of putting thoughts out there and stuff, and it kind of gets lost in the zeitgeist and stuff. But yeah, like I said, it could come out pretty well, honestly. Yeah, well and stuff. And I've always stated on the podcast, if you listen to every one of our shows, Marvel has like long-term plans when it comes to Disney has long-term plans when it comes to Marvel, and I feel you're going to get your crossover with Spider-Man and Luke Cage and all these characters and stuff. It's just a case of the right place and the right time, and doing it in a way that doesn't feel like it's forced, so yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a cause of worry, but I understand. Like for me, I am disappointed that they would just cancel Luke Cage like that, because it was a great show and they had something on there. Like I said, with Cheo coming out there speaking on it, it does have me worried a bit. Now, I thought don't cast everybody, keep the cast, because I feel Finn and yeah, it is a setback at best. I feel Finn and great connection, hence why I feel that you're going to get your Heroes for Hire. I feel all four of them have a connection to one another in a way that's great and awesome, and it's phenomenal and stuff. It's a setback, but I don't feel it's a setback for Marvel so much as them trying to pivot it. They're trying to pivot things the way it goes. Like I said, again, Netflix, they're doing their original content, and Disney, since they said that they're doing streaming, I think Netflix was like, well, why should we keep your stuff on there now? Regardless of the decisions and stuff, things change. And I know part of our private group that we were speaking about this and stuff, because we're sitting up there saying like, well, that doesn't make sense and stuff, because they have this deal with Netflix. I'm like, well, things change, attitudes change and stuff, and business is business and stuff. And if we're going to be real about stuff, if you're Disney, you want your content you want your content as accessible as you could possibly get it. So if you have stake in Hulu and you have your own streaming service, that's much easier than, okay, we have our stuff on Netflix, and then we have our stuff on Hulu, and we have our stuff on our own streaming service. Like, to me, 2 is better than 3. So if at the very least, if you have your stuff on Hulu and your streaming service, it's much easily accessible and stuff. So it's a lot of moving parts in all this, but like Justin was saying, it's a setback a little bit. And like I said, I hope everybody that does land on their feet. I hope Chael get. I mean, I think Chael is actually doing Creed 2, so good on him. But like I said, I want to see them at least finish out what they started with Luke Cage and stuff. And don't be surprised if, like I said, when everything dies down with Daredevil, you get an announcement that Daredevil isn't coming back again, or you get an announcement with Jessica Jones and stuff. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Disney's a corporation, but they're not stupid. Like, and that's my thing. Like, that's why I don't feel that they're gonna recast the characters with Luke Cage and Danny, but there is going to be some sort of reorganization in terms of what they're going to do and who's going to come back for writing. Hey, I want Chael to come back as showrunner for Luke Cage. I think he's been phenomenal for that show. I would love to see Raven Meltzer come back for Iron Fist, because Raven did a phenomenal job with season 2 of Iron Fist, like top to bottom. So for me, I want to see everybody land on their feet and come back in some way, shape, or form and stuff. And I want to see the continued adventures of Colleen as Iron Fist. I want to see Annie come back as Iron Fist. And maybe this is a way for, if they do come back on a Disney umbrella, we actually some more money get injected into like Iron Fist, where we see the dragon and we see Kunlun in a fully formed thing. Like I see potential and opportunity in these things and stuff, more so than sad and form it. Like, so while it's sad, I think there's some more moving parts in it and stuff. Like I said, for and like I said, for Raven to do what he did to fix Scott Buck's mistakes, that was like a huge thing. And like I said, I remember when I saw that trailer. I saw that trailer for Iron Fist season 2. I was like, okay, you got it now. They did it, and I see so much potential with these characters and stuff that we probably will see all these things and stuff. So it's a time for mourning up to an extent, but there's a lot of moving parts that I can see happening and stuff, and we'll see how it goes in the coming days and stuff. But like I said, be on the lookout to see what announcement Netflix says about Daredevil going forward and stuff, because right now it seems as though they're finishing out their contractual stuff with Jessica Jones, and so you got Punisher season 2 upcoming, that it's already done and in the bag. You got Jessica Jones season 3, which is filming right now, which is going to probably be in the bag. So once those shows finish out their little thing, don't be surprised if we get some sort of Netflix is officially done with doing those Marvel shows, and that's where we're going to get that pivot to Hulu or possible Netflix, the Disney streaming option and stuff. Because don't forget, people sit there and say kid friendly. Don't forget that Marvel back in the day, they had 2 different properties under the Marvel banner. You had your Marvel Knights, which was the more mature line, which is where we got the Priest Black Panther stuff, and we got the Inhumans, and I believe you had the Garth Ennis Punisher under the Marvel Knights banner, which was supposed to be the more mature take on these characters. And Marvel 616 continued and stuff, and as we saw, they managed to meld in the Marvel Knights stuff with the 616 stuff, no problem, because all the stuff that happened in Priest's run of Black Panther under the Marvel Knights is canon with what they were doing in the 616. It was just under a different label, and it was able to do those things. So don't be, even if it's under a Disney streaming service, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney labels it under like a Marvel Knights kind of thing and still keeps it trucking. That's another thing people got to realize too. So it's so many moving parts, but I err on the side of, I think Disney doesn't want to lose money, so they're going to continue doing what they do with this. So but yeah, with that in mind, that's my thoughts. If you have thoughts, comment down below. Thanks Justin and the 3 other people that joined in on this video. Definitely enjoy everybody. I just felt the need to do that, because as much as I would love to like do this, like do a video and upload and stuff, this was just easier for me just to get my kind of thoughts out there and everything and stuff. So yeah, with that in mind, thanks for joining in, and yeah, comment below on your thoughts and theories on where you think these Marvel Netflix shows are going to go. So yeah, peace out.